What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some incredibly fast-paced battles in the Color Cup with the highest attack-weighted team eligible with Shiny Shadow Sharpedo, Kartana, and Blacephalon. And if you go over to the PvPoke Color Cup rankings and sort by attack, you'll see Kartana and Sharpedo in the number 1 and 2 spots. However, you won't see Blacephalon at all, and the reason for this is because it has such a high attack stat that its overall stat product is too low for PvPoke to even bother giving it a ranking. And just to give you some perspective, Morpeko, a very common, very powerful glass cannon in this meta, has a 141 attack stat. Blacephalon has a 174 attack stat and a stat product below 1300, which is comparable to a level 50 Joltik or a Squirtle, which is insane to think about. So as you can imagine, it's very difficult to get wins with this team. You absolutely need alignment, but even then, if your opponent can get a shield advantage, which they often will, as you need to shield pretty much every charge move with this team, it can cause some trouble in the end game. So with that being said, let's just get straight into the question of the day. Which glass cannon Pokemon would you love to see Niantic release in its shadow form? Let me know in the comment section down below. And with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Shiny Shadow Sharpedo into a Bomber Snow. So not great for us, but we will of course resist the Powder Snow damage. I'm going to swap out there, expecting the opponent to throw a move straight away, even though it's resisted. I thought they might go for a Weather Ball. However, they stayed in for too long. They allowed me to get off one Incinerate and then land a Shadow Ball up against the Shadow Quagsire. And suddenly this game is already won for us, as we can fire off a Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire is going to be shielded by the opponent. We're going to drop their attack there, but still, I don't know if Kartana will live a resisted Aura Will. So I'm going to play it safe, use my shield. They actually bait with a Psychic Fangs, which is very interesting. However, they're only going to reach another Psychic Fangs. Remember, we did debuff their attack, so they're still not going to do too much damage here. We're now going to swap back into the Sharpedo. I can safely shield. The Waterfall damage will register, and of course, Waterfall will be enough damage eventually, after the game stops lagging, to take out a Bomber Snow, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG to opponent there into the next battle, Sharpedo into Alolan Marowak. So, a great lead matchup for us. The opponent's going to say swap into Shiftry. We're going to respond with Blacephalon. 2 Incinerates has nearly fully taken out the Shiftry already. They fire off the foul play there. One more Incinerate gets the KO. They're going to come back in with the Marowak, and we're actually going to bait with a Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire is going to be shielded by the opponent, and I will still outpace them to a Shadow Ball before the opponent reaches the Bone Club. And Shadow Ball goes unshielded. It gets the one shot, but they've got Ferrothorn in the back, and Blacephalon gets a full 1v3 sweep, able to take the game there. And that was absolutely insane to see. But into the next battle, we're going to see Morpeko in the lead. So not ideal for us. We're actually going to stay in initially. And then we're going to swap, catch the charge move. But not only that, we get an Incinerate in as we swap out, which is huge for me. Because Incinerate, you can see, does so much of their health. They're now going to come in with a Jellicent. Unfortunately, not ideal for us. However, again, going to bait with a Mystical Fire, grabbing a shield from the opponent. And the opponent is going to overfarm by the perfect amount there just before we reach a Shadow Ball. The opponent full sends a Shadow Ball of their own, which is very interesting. Maybe they're running like Ice Beam for coverage, but either way, we're going to come in with the Sharpedo. I'm going to go straight for the Crunch here, and Crunch will be winning CMP. Crunch will, of course, be enough damage to get the KO there. They come back in with Morpeko. I should have swapped out there because they've got a Talonflame in the back, and we only got off a single Waterfall. You can see 2 Incinerates is enough damage to take out the Kartana there, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. So in all honesty, I should have seen Morpeko and thought there must be a Talonflame in the back, and thought about preserving my Sharpedo. But either way, into the next battle, we're going to see a Say Swap into Cradily. I'm going to come in with the Kartana. We can tank a Rock Slide, one of the few moves that we can actually let go through on the Kartana. We can go for a Leaf Blade, grab a shield back from the opponent. At this point, I'm thinking, do I need Switch Advantage here? I am going to shield. I realize if I shield here, I'm still not going to reach a Charge Move up against the Typhlosion, so a little bit awkward for me there, but we can come in with the Sharpedo. We're going to have to shield a Thunder Punch, of course, but I'm going to shield this up here, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. The opponent actually possibly not even able to swap out there. They let us fully farm them down, but they've got Gastrodon in the back, and suddenly things aren't looking great, but they actually no-shield the Crunch, and that puts them into range where 2 Incinerates gets the KO just before they make it to the Earth Power to take us out. Of course, Body Slam is double resisted. We are incredibly glassy, but it's non-stat. That would not have taken out Blacephalon, and fortunately for me, because they did not shield the Crunch, I'm able to take that game. But into the next battle, similar story here as we're going to see a safe swap, this time into a Shadow Cradilly. This time, we're going to go for a Leaf Blade, once again throwing just before they reach Rock Side number 2. Leaf Blade is going to be shielded, and at this point I'm thinking, well, if it is a Gastrodon in the back, I kind of maybe need a shield advantage here. We got very lucky last time, so we're actually going to come in with Blacephalon, and it's actually going to be the Marowak coming back in, so that's fine with me. I'm definitely going to shield this here. I'm then going to go for 1 Incinerate. I can't go for 2 because they will actually outpace me to a second Bone Club before we get there. So instead, we fire off the Shadow Ball straight away, and it is a Gastrodon, but we're actually not able to swap out there. What I probably should have done is try to just throw a Mystical Fire, maybe grab the shield there, I don't know. But either way, unfortunately, Sharpedo, unless we land the crunch here, will be going down to the Mud Slap damage, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Shadow Alolan Golem in the lead. The opponent's going to stay in there before eventually swapping out into a Jumpluff. We can hard punish them with our Blacephalon, and I can no shield an Aerial Ace and just barely live that. I did shield the first one just in case it was an Acrobatics. It wasn't, so I'm going to let the next one go through. That does huge damage, to be honest. And at this point, I think I'm just going to blind throw a Mystical Fire, and they come in with a Moongus on Astonish. So unfortunately, that one Astonish, even though we debuff their attack, will be enough damage to KO us. So at this point, we're going to come in with the Sharpedo. I will at least resist the Astonish damage, so it's not that bad of a matchup for us. We go for Poison Fang. The opponent actually no shields that, which is very interesting from the opponent there. At this point, I have to let the Sharpedo go down. They're going to go for a Grass Knot, taking us out, but we can come in with Kartana. These are double resisted Razor Leafs. However, we have debuffed their defense, so one more Razor Leaf should be enough damage to get the KO. They go for a Sludge Bomb there. That is resisted damage anyways, but we kind of need to shield everything. We get the Razor Leaf farm down up against the Golem, and I'm able to take that game. So GG Turbo there. Into the next battle, another Alolan Marowak in the lead. The opponent safe swaps into a Stunfisk, and unfortunately, because I'm not able to swap out instantly, they will actually outpace me to 2 Mud Bombs before I even reach a Leaf Blade. So at this point, I'm thinking, ah, man, I can't really shield here, so I'm going to let that go through, come in with my Blacephalon, most likely, just because we can get more energy with a single Incinerate. We get the farm down there. If they come back in with the Marowak, this is still absolutely fine with us. We can outpace them to a Shadow Ball before they reach a Bone Club, and Shadow Ball is unfortunately going to be shielded by the opponent. We then swap into our Sharpedo, but again, another Shiftry, and we're resisting the Snarl damage. We go for the Poison Fang. That actually gets the one-shot there, and the opponent is just going to have to concede the match. I think they thought they needed to save their shield for the Marowak, but probably underestimated just how much damage a Poison Fang would do there, and we're able to take that game. But into the next battle, gonna see a Walrein in the lead. Not really ideal for us. I'm gonna say swap into my Blacephalon. I'm over farming because I thought maybe they would throw on awkward timing there, but they didn't. So we actually go for a Mystical Fire on the CMP tie. So I guess that time, if I did go for an extra Incinerate, we could have got a full Incinerate in for free. But either way, they will outpace me to back-to-back charge moves. I've debuffed them. This is probably just another Icicle Spear, but I'm thinking I can actually go for a full Incinerate farm down. Surely they don't have a great response, but no, they just chose not to swap out for some reason. They come in with a Shadow Quagsire. We bait, and the opponent actually calls the bait there. That's a huge call for them. We now come in with Kartana, hoping to snipe before they reach a charge move, and they've got Skeleturge in the back anyway. So unfortunately, unless my switch shot comes up in time, I don't think we're going to be able to win this game. And you can see we are nowhere near being able to swap out. The opponent able to reach a Disarming Voice, and they actually full send a Shadow Ball for some reason. Doesn't really make a difference. Even resisted Shadow Ball takes us out there, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's top there. Into next battle, we can see a Talonflame in the lead once again. So I will say, I did actually start with Kartana in the lead. I think for at least 2 sets in a row, I basically just led into like non-stop Talonflame or Alolan Marowak, and it was absolutely awful. So eventually I did switch up the team. Now we're running Sharpedo, and we're still seeing those fire types in the lead, so that's quite good. We're going to go for an Aerial Ace there, and that, because they no shield, will put them into range where 3 Waterfalls gets the KO. They come in with a Whimsicott, and it's going to be game over here. Either they no shield this, we get the one shot, or we can just swap into Blacephalon, go for the Incinerate farm down, so the opponent just concedes the match there. So, GG's top there. Into next battle, we see Toxapex in the lead. This is really awkward for me. I'm actually going to say swap into Blacephalon, because Blacephalon, well, if they throw straight away, we can get a full Incinerate in for free, but we're going to resist the Poison Jab damage. We kind of need to shield a Brine on all 3 of our Pokemon anyways, despite it being resisted on Sharpedo and Kartana, so I don't really mind coming in with Blacephalon here, as now we can go for a Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire is going to be no-shielded, but they come in with a Gastrodon. Not ideal for us, as we don't reach a charge move, but we can Fang come back in with Kartana. Of course, Razor Leaf going to do huge damage in this matchup. I can afford to no-shield a Body Slam. Body Slam not going to do too much damage here, but they come in with a Ferrothorn, and at this point, it's not looking too good for us. I need to land an Aerial Ace. The reason I'm running Aerial Ace, by the way, is just because it's going to give us better matchups up against the likes of Jumpluff or Superior. Not necessarily winning matchups up against a Jumpluff, but we will at least be able to do some decent damage. And I'm hoping this has put them into range where 4 more Waterfalls will get the KO. It's going to be close. Waterfall is resisted, but unfortunately, we're just not quite going to be able to get that full farm down. So, of course, a Power Whip, super effective, easily takes out Sharpedo, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. So, GG Turbo there into next battle, another Talonflame in the lead. So, once again, very good to see the opponent actually choosing to stay in and getting fully farmed down by the Waterfall damage. That is insane, but we're going to go for a Crunch straight away. Could have possibly gotten away with going for a Poison Fang, but we get the debuff anyway, so definitely good for us. And you can see Incinerate's absolutely chunking the Venusaur. I'm going to shield up whatever they throw. Everything is resisted. However, I think either a Sludge Bomb or a Frenzy Plant would have taken us out anyways. We can now go for a Mystical Fire, grab the final shield from the opponent, swap into our Kartana, and of course, all I have to do here is safely shield up the Charge Move. Razor Leaf has connected. Razor Leaf will be taken out for Alligator, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG Turbo there into the bonus battles where we started off with Kartana, and you can see this is how it went for me with Kartana in the lead. Basically, every single game I saw like a Talonflame or a Alola Marowak for the first 2 sets. I think my third set was sort of okay for us. We saw at least some neutral leads, but it was just not a fun time whatsoever. We go for a Poison Fan, we grab a shield back from the opponent, and this one I'm thinking, well, if I come in with Kartana, they can go straight for an Aura Wheel, probably one-shot me, so it's not going to be great, but I'm thinking, actually, you know what? Maybe we just put both our shields into our our remaining shield into Blacephalon, and hopefully it can sweep in the end game, but it's very unlikely, and nope, definitely not going to happen there, as you see a Gastrodon, nothing we could do up against that team, and unfortunately do lose that game. But GG Turbo there into next battle, Alola Marowak in the lead. We're going to say swap into Blacephalon, and we're met with Credilli. Now, honestly, this is a matchup that we might be able to flip, and I don't actually know how they managed to outpace me to the Charge Move there. I feel like that should have been a potential CMP tie, or me just getting a full Incinerate in for free. But either way, I should be I should be able to outpace him to 3 Charge Moves here. So what we're going to do is try to commit to a full Incinerate farm down. I'm just barely not able to get it, so I will fire off the Mystical Fire. Mystical Fire is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and we are going straight for the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball, if it does connect, will of course easily get the one-shot there, and the opponent's got a Jumpluff in the back, and once again Blacephalon absolutely tearing through the opponent there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG Turbo there into next battle, another Talonflame in the lead. So, once again, firing off one Razor Leaf. This time, I swap into my Sharpedo. We're met with a Charger Bug, and I panic. No, I should have gone for the Crunch there. I did actually click on the Crunch eventually, but I must have clicked on the Poison Fang before that, and it registered, and unfortunately, the opponent no shield, so I think Crunch would have definitely taken them out there. We could have flip switch advantage, and depending on what they've got in the back, that could have been absolutely vital for me. So, at this point, I'm basically just not allowing the Talonflame to get any farm, as I will be able to swap out now, killing the switch timer, and they had a Gastrodon in the back. So if I just flip switch advantage, of course, that Talonflame still would have been quite tricky for us, but I did get it pretty low already with the Sharpedo, so if I just went for the Crunch, I could have won that game. But GG's to opponent there into next battle. We're going to see a Shadow Credilli in the lead, so fairly neutral matchup for us, one that we are going to resist their Charge Moves. However, of course, Rockslide still does a ton of damage. They then swap, trying to snipe with the Typhlosion. We can swap out in time, come in with the Sharpedo. They go for a Thunder Punch there. We're going to shield that up. We're going to go for the Waterfall Farm Down, and let's see, the opponent comes back in with the Shadow Credilli, and we're going to fire off a Poison Fang here. The opponent actually does not throw a Charge Move, so I could have committed to a full Farm Down there, but they come in with a Shadow Quagsire, and things should be looking fine. Kartana is very low, but it's going to take like maybe two more Razor Leafs to take out this Quagsire, so definitely just shield that up there. Go for the Razor Leaf Farm Down. The opponent trying to concede the match there, but they're actually just not fast enough, as Razor Leaf absolutely shreds through the Quagsire, and I'm able to take that game. Into next battle, we see a Starmie in the lead. The opponent's going to Sage Swap into a Shadow Jumpluff, and this is quite a funny battle here. We're going to shield the first Charge Move, as it could be an Acrobatics. They actually just go for an Aerial Ace there. They're able to make it to another Aerial Ace here, and I'm going to no-shield this. but Aerial Ace actually gets the KO. What on earth was that, Blacephalon? I realized at this point I was thinking, well, we lived it previously, but that was a non-Shadow Jumpluff. So unfortunately, up against a Shadow Jumpluff, Blacephalon not able to tank an Aerial Ace after a few Fairy Winds. That is pretty embarrassing. And unfortunately, it might cost me here. However, we're going to see a Credilli. I'm actually going to shield this just because I figured if they land a Rock Slide, they can actually swap into their Starmie and potentially just go for a Sideway Farm Down. So we swap, catch the Charge Move there. That actually doesn't work out too well for me. Well, actually, we get the perfect Farm Down there. Can we Razor Leaf farm down the Starmie? No, we're not able to do so. Unfortunately, they reach a Surf. Surf is resisted, but it takes out Kartana. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there, definitely lost that one just because I thought Blacephalon was slightly tankier than it is. But into the next battle, I can't even remember what we saw in the lead, but they say swap into Toxapex. This is fine with me. We're going to go straight for a Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade is going to be shielded by the opponent. And in this one, I'm just going to stay in, wait for them to throw, going to no-shield this, and then I'll come in with my Blacephalon, resist the Poison Jab damage, and maybe commit to a full Incinerate farm down here, if I'm able to. We're going to see a Brine coming through, and at this point, I probably should throw a Charge Move, but actually, the Incinerate does get the KO. That's huge for me. We're now going to see the opponent's going to come back in with their Stunfisk. We're going straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will do huge damage in this matchup. The opponent does let that go through. We swap into our Sharpedo, and we're met with a Man-Sign. And I think I make a mistake here. I go for Poison Fang. Poison Fang is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. Should have just committed to the crunch there. But we're going to no-shield as well as the opponent goes for an Aerial Ace. We can now come in, go straight for Mystical Fire. We have debuffed them. So Mystical Fire does big damage just by being resisted, and we get that Incinerate farm down. Huge for me, and we're able to make it to another Charge Move. We throw on CMP, and they're at 1 HP, so they shield this up, but it KOs through the shield, as every Charge Move does 1 damage through the shield anyways. I'm able to take out the Stunfisk, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top in there into the next battle. The opponent safe swaps into an Astonish Decidueye, and these Incinerate chunking, but Astonish absolutely shreds through Blacephalon there. Unfortunately, we end up losing switch advantage, and I feel like this is already game over now. We come in with Sharpedo, they go for a Spirit Shackle there. Spirit Shackle does not debuff me, so we are going to go for that farm down. If they come back in, well, they actually don't come back in with the Kingdra. That is a very strange decision there, as of course, they would double resist the Waterfall damage. We're now going to debuff them. I'm going to stay in, basically just force them to throw. And since I've debuffed them, maybe we can commit to a full Razor Leaf farm down here up against this Galissapod. They will reach a Charge Move, but I'm hoping Kingdra will not reach a Charge Move up against us. They're going to swap back into Kingdra, and it actually doesn't matter, as these Dragon Breaths, despite being resisted, absolutely tear through Kartana's HP, and unfortunately we end up losing that game. But GG's top in there into the next battle. We see Morpeko in the lead, so just going to stay in, use one shield, I don't care. Aura Will is going to be resisted, but it's going to do huge damage. It probably would one-shot us, so just going to respect it. Go for the Razor Leaf farm down there, come out with a Leaf Blade loaded. We have to swap out there. We swap into our into our Blacephalon there, as we see a Shadow Typhlosion, and again, just full stand in the Shadow Ball, and the opponent does not respect the damage, and that's going to be game over. The opponent probably going to opt to go for 1 extra Incinerate, but that will cost them up against a Shadow Sharpedo, as 2 Waterfalls takes out the Typhlosion, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top in there into next battle. We see a Stunfisk in the lead. So, this is, well, technically a good matchup. However, it's actually not as good as you might think. So, we're going to no-shield this. The opponent goes for a Mud Bomb there, and they swap into Emolga. So, we're going straight for the Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade will be resisted, but it will do some decent damage. The opponent actually shields that up there. We can come in with Blacephalon, use my shield here, and the opponent's going to go for a Discharge. So, probably not running Aerial Ace, which means I can actually make it to a Mystical Fire here. Mystical Fire should be enough damage to get the KO, but they actually end up double shielding Emolga. So at this point, I'm also going to shield. They go for another Discharge. That Incinerate actually takes them out there. Honestly, I was hoping to get off 1 more Incinerate to farm them down. But either way, Mystical Fire will get the KO up against the Stunfisk. But they've got a Toxapex in the back, and this is going to be tricky. I think what I should have done here is banked the Shadow Ball, swapped into my Sharpedo, and hoped that the opponent, for whatever reason, just overfarmed a lot. Because now, unfortunately, they do have the energy for a Sludge Wave. It easily gets the one-shot, and unfortunately, we are so low on both Pokemon. We do resist the Poison Jab damage, but 2 Poison Jabs takes us out there. 3 more Poison Jabs takes us out, and unfortunately Incinerate just doesn't quite get the KO there, and I do lose that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.